2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh yeah, Panther fans, it's draft week. That is right. The time that you have spent in mock drafting, the time you have spent evaluating men in underwear has come to fruition, where Cody Lashney will likely be validated in much of his opinions. And if he's not, who cares? It's all speculation anyway. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. It's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at cat_chronicles. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast, and thanks for all your support on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. My man, Cody Lashney, I know you are just jumping out of that seat right now with anticipation for Thursday night.
The draft draws near, man. I love this time of year. I always get so excited. Hope springs eternal for the Carolina Panthers and the prospects of what might be and what players we might be cheering for years to come. I love it, man. I live for this time of year, especially now that there's nothing going on. How could you not be hype about the draft? And I know some people who are hype about the draft. It's the people in the most lit Panther chat room in all of YouTube. And we're joined by all the greats: Sarah Taylor, Underground West, Richard's Outdoor World, Demetrius Miller, Ben S., Legacy Lynn, Joey Esquivel, Tony Dunn, and nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. We want you to be part of the longest running Panthers podcast out there. Go ahead and call in. We'll get your call on the cat calls tonight. We've also got the regulars in the house. Greg, how you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, Tony. It's Tuesday night. I wake up every Tuesday morning looking forward to this night. Get to talk to all the fans, get to talk to my homeboys, get to talk Panthers football. Can't beat it. Let's do it.
Can't wait for your stats tonight. And we got CK. Look, CK, there's a pretty lethal C3 Warzone squad out there from what I heard.
Yeah, there
is Greg coming in, jumping down from the cliff, clack, 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 clacking to the wind. Holy cow, old guys play video games too, don't they?
We do. They do, and we wreck people.
We wreck people. I got to credit that kill to CK, though. I came down from the cliff, and I think I distracted him, hit him a couple times. I think CK got that final kill, though.
Well, I tell you what, we got the win. We got the win, and I'm terrible.
Right. I'm right there with you, man.
All right, CK's streaming some video games on Twitch. Make sure you check him out. You can follow him at Codizzle_Allen, correct?
You got it.
All right, let's jump into the Panthers talk tonight. It is the eve of the draft. Rumors abound. I even pulled up NFL.com, Cody, and it said Redskins fielding calls for the number 2 pick. Detroit has been putting it out there that they are interested in trading back. And then you have the Dolphins rumored to trade up for an offensive tackle. It's bound to be wild, and nothing is as it appears.
It's mad, and it's lying season too. You don't know who's telling the truth. You don't know who's telling stories. I find it very hard to believe that Miami is looking to move up for a tackle. I don't think that there's any guarantee they'll be in the running for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields next year. Yeah, the draft starts at number 2. We all know Joe Burrow's going number 1. That's written in stone. Tattoo it on your ass. We all know. At number 2, that's when it gets real. You don't know if Washington believes in Dwayne Haskins to be their future. It's hard to believe that both the Detroit Lions and the Giants don't want to move back and probably draft the same player that they have rated number 1 on their board. There's a lot going on, and there are reports that the Panthers have done a lot of due diligence on Jordan Love, the quarterback from Utah. We know that Marty Herney was at the pro day for Justin Herbert. They've interviewed. So I don't know. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty around what the Panthers will do at number 7, and it's anyone's guess up to this point.
What is your guess via Draft Tech? You are the resident Panther mock drafter or draft generator, as well as a little Houston, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm right for Houston also.
So tell me this: who's your pick? Who is your pick?
So, if I'm having to put money down right now, as much as it pains me to say, I think it's probably either a wide receiver, and I know we have not mentioned that often, but if you look at Joe Brady and Teddy Bridgewater and all the offensive firepower that has now been added to the NFC South all around us, I wouldn't doubt it if they want another dynamic offensive weapon to put on the football team. I had this drafting Jerry Jeudy, the receiver from Alabama, and I have heard
news surrounding
reports about that.
Reports about potential concerns with a knee, I believe.
Yeah, and which is kind of weird because they were saying that it was an unreported injury, but it was reported. I saw the Alabama article about it at the time 2 years ago. So I don't know what that's all about. But another real possibility is C.J. Henderson, the cornerback from Florida. Apparently, a bunch of teams have him with a higher grade than they do Jeffrey Okudah. Now, I think that is madness, but that's just what's being reported online.
If either of those routes are our selection, I may have a literal brain aneurysm on our draft show. It is irresponsible for the Panthers to go out and spend that kind of capital on a player that will not help you in the no. When you have zero defense, you have zero defense. If it's not a defensive player, it better be a quarterback that is drafted. I want to give a big shout out to Underground West with a $10 contribution to the show. Thank you very much for your support. Now, when it comes to that, Cody, can it really be? Could C.J. Henderson? I heard, Charlie Casserole. That's what I call him. Charlie Casserole talking about how many people believe that if you play a defense in off coverage, he is a better option. What kind of analysis is that? Seriously, a guy that's better off, but that means that he can't play on.
And by the way, it's so stupid. I mean, I have watched a ton of film of Jeffrey Okudah. He's perfect in man coverage, zone coverage. In
the run game.
Yeah, I mean, the guy does it all. His instincts are second to none. C.J. Henderson might be a better athlete, but it's absolutely absurd to me. And apparently a few teams are thinking this way. A few teams have their board that way. So that is absolutely absurd, in my opinion. And I would be pretty furious if we, especially if we didn't trade down. Now, I don't want people to think that I think C.J. Henderson is a bad player. He is a very good player at a position of need for us right now. But when you have a top 10 pick, you're talking about a different tier of player. Yep. And he C.J. Henderson is not in that tier.
Or maybe not at this moment, right? That's the other thing, is I think top 10 means today ready is another way of thinking it. CK, right. Thursday night, if the Panthers go and draft a wide receiver in the first, what is your reaction?
One of sheer disappointment, if you ask me. I think there's way more holes than in every other position outside of wide receiver. I feel like for the first time, I'm actually pretty comfortable with what we have at wide receiver. I know we don't have necessarily that big body receiver, but I mean, let's be honest, we haven't been lucky with those. So I think right now what we have is what we need. And to put that type of draft capital into a wide receiver is asinine. Yeah, I'm with you. I think I immediately have a brain aneurysm if something like that were to take place. I'm
going to be really disheartened if the new football regime is so in on the new millennium NFL of we got to put up 50, and that's what they are really hoping to create. I'm going to be disheartened by that because I think it's an overreaction. I think you have to win. I think you have to have a well-rounded team. I tell you one thing, Greg, is that Cody surprised me there when he talked about wide receiver. Not as much surprised when it comes to C.J. Henderson. I thought I was going to be disappointed if we drafted that guy Brown at 7. Now, Brown sounds like a damn gold mine to me compared to those other alternatives. Where are you at on the Panthers in the first round? And I hope you bring up our man, Tua, can't pronounce your last name, Lagavola.
You know I'm going to bring him up, but I do want to ask, when we're talking about, you said Okuda, I think that's what you're talking about, being a non-coverage player type deal.
No, they were saying this. They were saying that C.J. Henderson is appealing to defensive coordinators who like to play an off coverage, i.e. Ron Rivera. Right? I mean, that's what that means right there, is that's exactly what Ron Rivera would do, is draft C.J. Henderson over Okuda.
Yeah.
Y'all check out my hot wife.
Well, hello. Welcome to the podcast. Who do you want the Panthers to take in the first round?
Who do you want the Panthers to take in the first round, he asked. Say Simmons.
Say Tua.
Whatever he says.
Simmons. All right. So here we go. Greg, I thought I would be disheartened if we – what's his name, Cody, by the way? Brown. I want to say Everett Brown, but that was a former Panther, Everett Brown.
Derek Brown. And by the way, I do just want to say he fits a very big – Derek Brown fits a huge position of need for us. I mean, listen, our run defense was terrible. Again, it goes back to that conversation of if you're drafting in the top 10, you want to foresee that player putting on a gold jacket at the end of their career. Yep. And Derek Brown is, in my opinion, he's a nose tackle.
Everett Brown or Derek Brown?
Derek Brown.
Everett Brown is the former Carolina Panthers bust, who is Marty Hurney.
I said Derek earlier. I said Eric.
Yeah, you're right.
Derek Brown is a physical player. He'd be the anchor of our defensive line that would kind of fill that Star Lotulelei role. But, outside of that, I don't think that you draft that kind of player in the top 10.
This is why I like it, though, is that here's the thing, is that if we draft a defensive lineman at 7 or an offensive tackle, by nature you can only – I mean, not a defensive lineman, a defensive tackle or an offensive lineman. You can only by nature be so excited in that moment because it's one of the things where their contribution comes in ways that you don't see it. Right? I mean, you just don't see it. When do we start talking about the weaknesses at defensive tackle? When teams run all over your ass. When do we start talking about offensive linemen when teams are getting all over your quarterback's ass? So really, what we probably would best be suited is having a pick. We're like, we hope this guy is freaking awesome. And then, but if we get a pick, if a pick comes in, it's a wide receiver. Oh my gosh. I just think Cincinnati Bengals, John Ross, when they went after that, I think the Panthers would be irresponsible to pass on Simmons, to pass on Brown, to pass on, there's probably 3 more defensive players, Okuda. It would be irresponsible at this point. But stranger things have happened.
Well, I think that would be the writing on the wall for Curtis Samuel, wouldn't it? At that point,
if they drafted a receiver.
Oh God!
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think if they draft a receiver in the 2nd round, it's the writing on the wall for Curtis Samuel.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this: if I know you said that you wouldn't take Derek Brown top 10, I mean, in the event that we trade back, which I know is a popular thing to hear, but I with the talk about how horrible the actual mock draft went for the NFL when they did the test run beforehand.
It was a shit show.
I'm not sure there's going to be much trading going on. So, I'm not sure that these GMs are going to have the capability of actually getting that working the way that they want it to.
I mean, we're hearing that there's a bunch of teams that are already looking to move. So, I mean, who knows what will end up happening?
I am looking. I'm telling you right now, and it may feel like it might be boring, but I am telling you, it is going to be hilarious. I think this is going to be the best draft that we'll ever see.
And I were talking about this. Deep down, we're kind of hoping for a shit show because it validates this show and what we do every Tuesday night for you people out there.
You guys know they're about to have like a 3-minute delay all the way around. They're like, we are not risking anything. There's going to be a 3-minute delay. We're not going to have somebody accidentally be off of mute and then talk about how they want to, they're going to try to screw over Bill Belichick or something like that.
But why? I think that based on what's going on, if they're going to mess up, let them mess up.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, trust me, I agree.
Sorry,
the NFL doesn't want that.
Yeah, well, I get Goodell doesn't want that, but we are in a day and age where if you cannot have pay somebody to come in there and set up your shit technically right to do this draft.
I do want to talk about this.
Then you should pay the penalty.
This is a big missed opportunity. Ron Rivera would say this is a missed opportunity for YouTube or Streamlabs to partner with the NFL and to run the shit for them. That's what I would have done if I was Streamlabs VP. And I would then demand that the NFL lean on ESPN and get all of their cameras from football season and baseball that is not occurring right now.
I bet you they rent those things out every year. I bet you they don't own them. I bet you they rent them.
So you're saying ESPN doesn't have the cameras right now? What I would say is the idea that we have to watch television today. Like I bet my wife is watching the morning shows while we're at home, and these cats are literally like displaying from their iPad.
Yeah, right. But we're doing right now.
Yeah, but we're doing even better than that because at least I got a camera. People giving us shit about our quality for years, and I understand it sucked. But the thing is like I watch reporters around the country, like local reporters, go out and set up their own computer thing, their mics, live broadcasts. Why is it this hard?
Behind them naked. Yeah.
Is that and I swear I guarantee you from what I've seen, from what the NFL has been putting out there, if they don't get these guys a Yeti mic at the very minimum, I am pissed. Like what in the hell? All right.
Well, so, you definitely did. You saw what you saw what they had over at San Francisco. I think these guys are going to be more prepared than we realized, but I think that it is going to be hilarious how the GMs like Marty Herney who are going to have to be by themselves, right? Because there is no. I mean, they're probably going to be able to Zoom with their draft, or I guess their staff and whatnot, but these guys are in a living room most likely by themselves. Am I wrong?
I think this is silly. I think this is silly. Why can they not be social distanced? What I would request, I saw the Lions. I saw this. The Lions. It's like their assistant GM is going to stay in the GM's driveway in a Winnebago throughout the whole time that they're drafting. Yeah. So if there's any technical difficulties, they can just open the window and yell at each other. Why can you not do that? Why could you not set up a socially distant, safe war room?
I don't know, but all the stories that have so far come out have been absolutely hilarious. Len even mentioned it in the chat that when they did the mock draft, the Bengals didn't even get their pick in. And we're talking about the number one pick because they were having so many technical difficulties. Apparently, one of the team's GMs, I think it was one of the teams in the top 10, his wife or son had gotten onto the Wi-Fi while he was doing the draft, and it was taken away from his bandwidth. He had to go and yell and stop his family from using the internet. Dude, I have no idea what's going to happen Thursday night, but it's going to be a mess. I also wanted to say I'm worried for the Panthers because I have a feeling that Marty Hurney has an old 1997 Compact Pro laptop that he barely, with the little red microphone button right in the middle. And I have no idea how he's getting our pick in on time because I don't think that dude knows what to do with a computer.
I do want to give a big shout out to Panthers C3 podcast founder Joe Riolano in the house. Joe, nice to see you in the chat room, as well as Joan in the chat room with Lynn representing the girl gang on draft week. Now, when it comes to I really hope that we can find a way in this age with the people of these salaries. And I feel like at work, I'm expected to do a lot of things that are just not in my job thing, but like my, job description, but just be familiar. Like if you can't you work at a university and be like, I don't understand how email works. Right. So the idea that this is so daunting for us to for this $1 trillion organization, the NFL, and these teams to figure out is a little surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, what's the most surprising to me is that the fact that the NFL, because they can't have these players here, they're sending them welcome packets. And the welcome packets, they sent, I think, 59 players that they thought were going to be drafted in the first 2 rounds.
Interesting.
And the welcome packets have instructions like you can only wear Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, and whatever else the other sports are in it. You can't have Den and yogurt. You can't have anything but a Pepsi product. Like they're sending them regulations and all the stuff they need to do these. So like they're sending them, you can only have, if you're going to wear headphones for the draft, you can only wear Bose headphones. So if you don't have a pair, the NFL is going to send you a pair so that way they can keep up their apparel and their sponsors. And for me, that's the most interesting part because you have people in their homes and they're going to have to adjust everything they have in their homes to not have product placement in the wrong spot, to not advertise for Coke or Reebok or people that aren't sponsored.
Which I find that to be absurd. I understand the importance of business partnerships and sponsorships and how integral they are to these institutions. But I think inadvertent references should not count towards these sponsorship agreements. So if what if the cat was wearing, that's like saying you can't wear Hanes underwear if your Hanes underwear is showing because your pants are hanging too low, that it's a sponsorship infringement. I think that they go too far, the NFL, when it comes to what they do with the cleats and different things like that, which then causes people to act absurd about it in protest. Guys, I want to turn this attention. I saw it in the chat room. Somebody mentioned the picture of Dave Gettleman in the war room with the lotion bottle. So he's there at the computer desk, and somebody said somebody I saw in the Twitter feed was knocking it. And someone said, where else do you keep the lotion at? Like that was there.
Yeah.
On the
It
night
was on,
stand, of course,
it was
yeah.
on the right side too.
But
So we know it's a right-hander.
Billy Bean, right? Brandon
For
Bean.
yeah, Brandon Bean for the Bills.
Yes, Brandon Bean recently mentioned that he was on First Take, and he said that Dave Gettleman is a smart guy, and that picture was staged to make him look like a dunce, for people to underestimate him.
I don't know if I believe all that. I think he's an old school New Yorker type who barely even uses computers anyway. Dude, I believe it. Did you see the size of the binder? Like, what is in that binder? Why is that thing so damn big? And why is it right in front of you and your laptop? Like, it just makes no sense. But by the way, when you
That's what they're saying, that it's all part of his act.
So, by the way, if you look at how other teams are setting up, they have multiple monitors for film, all this other stuff, and then Gettleman has this tiny little laptop and a giant binder in front of him. But hey, we don't know what Marty Herney's setup looks like. Have y'all seen anything from his setup? I haven't. So I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't cast stones.
CK, what is the Panthers media putting out these days?
I mean, not much, man. They're talking about the stories of the players that were drafted, like how they talked about Steve Smith's path to the draft. They talked about Brian Burns. They've talked about Jonathan Stewart. They're not really
a lot of focus on Christian McCaffrey now with the contract.
A lot of focus on Christian McCaffrey. They have done the quality of reporting is not very high right now. Right now, it's all kind of just clickbait. Or not even that. I would say it's kind of fluff.
It's like feel good. It actually is not a lot of stuff, to be honest. There's not even a lot of quantity. It's just kind of feel good stuff.
To be fair, right now I think they're trying to ease the new reporters in. They got two. I mean, you got to think it's what is it, a 33 or 66% turnover rate right now. So they had 66% of their entire reporting room, which I think was Bill Voth, Max Simpson, and Caroline Can, right? Those are the only three. Maybe a couple of writers outside of that, but two of the main people that were there are gone. So I think right now to expect them to be just throwing things out would probably be premature. But
I saw Max Henson is, what his Twitter profile says now is that he does social media for Lowe's.
Oh,
yeah. Like, so is that a job upgrade by going to Lowe's? Right, and which I'm not a knock on that, but I wonder if that's a reflection of what the heck is going on Main Street, right?
I wonder. But yeah, they just put a new Lowe's headquarters here in Charlotte.
Really?
So he might still be here in Charlotte.
Yeah. No, I think he is. So, and what I did want to bring up was the stories with Christian McCaffrey. We know that the details, the details of his contract have come out, making him, not only did we already know, the highest paid running back in the league, but with some really impressive guaranteed money. We were calculating it before the show, guys. Fully guaranteed when he puts the pen to the paper was $30 million. But if he is still on the roster in 2021, he gets an additional $8 million bonus on top of his $4.2 million salary that they prorated salary or whatever for that year. So that's effectively another $12 million for Christian McCaffrey is going to make in 2020 and 2021 $42 million.
Is that it?
Good answer.
That's pretty incredible. But, Cody, I bring up that contract, not whether we talked last night about, really, I don't think the guaranteed money is going to change our opinions on, the ramifications of signing Christian McCaffrey to that deal. But the interesting news you were referencing before the podcast was mentions of Christian McCaffrey, how happy he was to be here. And what else did he say?
that he wanted to end his career as a Carolina Panther
without
wanted to stay
missing
here
any
forever.
time, though. That's what he said.
Oh yeah.
That's the
But then-
thing.
So you meant so yeah, right. You meant the tweet from Jordan Rodriguez. So he basically said he was happy that he wouldn't have to miss any time. So yeah, he was gonna have. Was it probably going to hold out if he didn't get the contract? But it appeared that both sides knew that, and both sides didn't care because they were gonna do this deal. So we got our guy, man. I mean, the part that makes me hesitant is just because of the position. But hey, man, I love CMC. He's the biggest superstar on our team right now, bar none. Especially when you count no more Luke, no more Cam, no more Greg Olson. So yeah, man, run CMC all day.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We want you to be a part of the show. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the thumbs up button. It helps let other people know that the show is worth listening to. And if you're just how about this? Is share the show with a friend. If you know a Panthers fan, send them the link to the podcast or the YouTube channel. It helps us grow and continue just to have this fan discussion each and every week. Let's go ahead and get into the cat calls, guys. The number's 252-228-5098, where you can be a part of the C3 Panthers podcast. Let's see what you guys got to say.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Scott from up in Winston-Salem. So I had a question. The NBA does a lottery draft where the teams pick a number. What would happen if, or you guys' thoughts, on if the NFL done a lottery draft as well where they pick numbers and therefore it makes the scouts scout more people, which could obviously bring in a little bit more staff requirements and, you know, a little bit more employees that could help out during these times. But what if they ended up do that? And as far as the draft, I'm pretty set on Isaiah too. I'm good with him, and I hate we lost Cam, but neither here nor there. Bridgewater's not that bad of a guy as far as passing. Of course, being in the NFC South, you know, we watch a bunch of those games. But with that being said, let's like to get you guys' thoughts on that. Maybe if the NFL done a lottery draft, and we wouldn't have to worry about who's picking where. So, hey, I appreciate it. You guys keep up the good show and listen to it every Tuesday. And sometimes I got to keep up with it on different days. But anyway, you guys do a fantastic job. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's a reference for when Tony forgets to hit publish on the podcast. Guys, I gotta say this is that Simmons, we're all in love with that pick. Is, you know, other than, you know, various affiliations, for me it's Tua. You know, I would not be upset if that was the name I heard. I'd be very excited to get Simmons and move on from that. Go into the discussion about the lottery. I hate the NBA lottery, dude. I hate that teams that are. I like the idea of the worst team getting the first pick.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't even buy the argument that it's going to stop people or teams from tanking. I mean, really, tanking doesn't exist anyway. Like, it exists from an organizational standpoint. If, as a GM and an owner, you're like, well, we're going to trade players and try and get picks for next year. But you're not ever going to tell players to go out there and play bad. Like, they have families. They're trying to get second contracts. They're trying to do all these things. And, yeah, like, imagine if the Panthers went 0-16 and the Patriots
didn't. Yeah,
and the Patriots went to the AFC Championship game,
And they won the lottery.
and then they had the number one pick in the
Well,
draft.
usually it wouldn't be them, but it would be
no.
like a team that
But it
was
could be
like
them.
6-10
Still could be
or
them.
Right,
something.
and depending
it could
on
be.
how bad you are is how many number of balls you have in the lottery. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I think the NFL draft is just fine the way it is.
I agree. And here's what I can say as a basketball fan. I can look at it, and I hate the lottery. I absolutely hate the idea of the lottery because I'm a believer that even though sports are sports and they're unpredictable, there is some controllable things about them, okay? And I do believe that when you put a lottery in there, you take the randomness out of what's going on and you add human error into the equation. So basically, if you ever watch the NBA draft lottery, any year there is a player who's coming out who is going to be an all-star player that's a top prospect that you know for sure in the next few years is going to come out. The Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics, they always win that top lottery pick. And I hate that. Like I said, I'm a believer that there is. I'm very skeptical. I'm very cynical.
Well,
I
that
believe
would
there's
just
always
say
something
that the
behind what's going
lottery
on.
is rigged. That just questions even the legitimacy of the actual
That's what I'm
lottery
saying.
process.
I'm saying it's rigged because look at last year in the NFL. We have Super Bowl, the 100th year of the NFL. Okay, who played in the first Super Bowl? The Chiefs and the Packers, right?
Oh gosh, here comes Greg with his.
Who were on all the commercials?
At least he's
all the
consistent.
commercials together was Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. And I don't care what anybody says. I can show you about 8 plays last year that changed the Packers' total trajectory of where they were going. That completely changed the game and made them win. The NFL was doing everything they could for the narrative of, look at that. The Chiefs and the Packers are back in the 100th year of the Super Bowl when the Super Bowl's here, and they were in our first Super Bowl. Same with Super Bowl 50 with Carolina. Do you really think they wanted Cam Newton to win Super Bowl 50 over Peyton?
See, I don't buy
Manning?
this because I think that they missed too many
Go back
good
and win the game,
opportunities. Like they missed then
They can only
last
control so
year.
much.
What was it? They missed the opportunity of basically having Drew Brees versus somebody else. You know, you would like if it was rigged, they're not doing a good job at giving us even the best matchups.
They can only rig so much. They can only do so much.
But
you know?
this is my thing though. I mean, obviously, I'm not behind the scenes, but to me, what it does is it takes away from the winners. Like, yes, I do think that the NFL wanted Peyton to go out with another ring, but at the same time, Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware just beat our
They just
ass
ate.
up
They
and
just
down.
feasted.
But there were some
It-
bad calls in that game
and
that changed the
there
game.
were.
If
Yeah,
you want to
no
talk
doubt.
about conspiracy, you should talk about the conditions of the turf. Did you see? There's this one video of
That's what I'm
Michael
saying.
Orr
Yeah,
where he was sliding.
It's so stupid. Man.
Okay, all right.
I hate it so much.
Um,
Yeah, why are we talking about Super Bowl?
we were
50?
talking about the
I don't need that.
the lottery.
Nice.
I brought it
Here,
up. My
I
bad.
do. I want to
My bad.
react to one thing with what Cody said is that you can't effectively tank in the NFL. You can if they keep adding games, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing when it comes to the NBA is like you see guys, they're just like, man, we got 40 more games to go. Shit. No. You know, that's the thing about the exclusivity of NFL and the national championship is that each moment matters so much in that little, that person's career, the span of the game. So I think if the NFL overplays their hand by expanding the playoffs, continuing to add games, you might see some of those things that we thought were not aspects of the NFL creep into them. Let's keep going through the calls. Numbers 252-228-5098. Play.
Panthers podcast, how y'all doing?
What's up, G?
Cavassier, how y'all doing?
What's up, baby?
Professor, Cody, the two other gentlemen, the man with the cowboy hat, the Batman dude. How y'all
Every
doing?
once in a while.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, draft is coming up, and I am so damn hyped. But let me talk to you guys about one thing. Me personally, I want Isaiah Simmons with the number 7 pick. I really, really do. I honestly think he's going to fall to damn 7. And the reason why I say this, and just hear me out, if the Redskins do not pick him and the Giants don't pick him, I think he will fall to 7. I see the Redskins picking Chase Young, and I see, honestly, the Giants getting offensive tackle because, Gentleman loves the hog models, whatever. But just hear me out on this, man. If he's not there, you got Derek Brown, defensive tackle. I'll be happy with that pick, but I really don't want it because I think he's kind of overrated. You know, when you
Yeah.
guys think about Kinlaw, I think he can cause a lot of damage. A lot of people see us
Love
taking Jeff
Kinlaw.
Okudah from Ohio State, the corner. The way I look at it, you know, Bradbury left, so that'll be good. But my thing is this: come the second round, hey, call me stupid. I want Jalen Hurts, man. I really want that dude to be a Panther, man. I really, really want him to. I'm not sold on Will Greer. I'm just not. And another dude to look at, man, y'all look up, is Ross Blacklock from TCU. He's another defensive tackle. That dude has a motor. And before I go,
TCU
hey, Cody,
guy.
man,
Oh, yeah.
I called in before. If those people I named in the first round are not there, would you take A.J. Terrell in the first round? Would you take him if he's still there? If Okudah, Kinlaw, Derek Brown, and Isaiah Simmons are gone, would you take A.J. Terrell? I looked at his highlight tape. That boy is nasty. I think we can get him in a second personally. But give me your ideas on that, y'all. And keep pounding, baby.
Keep pounding.
What a
Gee,
call.
With the
Yeah,
burn.
what a call.
For those of you who don't know, AJ Terrell is a cornerback from Clemson. So I've seen him play for 3 years now, and the dude is a shutdown corner. I will say this: there are some flaws to his game. Everyone loves to hold LSU against him, and Jamar Chase. If the wide receiver for LSU were available in this year's draft, he would be wide receiver number 1. Okay, so sometimes when you play LeBron, you get dunked on, and that's what happened.
Actually, that's always when you play LeBron.
Yeah, so that's what happened to AJ Terrell, and people are kind of holding that against him. AJ Terrell is receiving a ton of top 16 hype. Apparently, the Cowboys are interested. The Falcons are really high on him. I would be a little disappointed if we took him at 7. If he was a part of a trade back, yeah, AJ Terrell would be perfect. 6'1", 200 pounds, long arms. He does well in press man coverage. He would be a perfect addition to our team. I would love to have him in the second round, but sadly, I don't think that he will fall that far. If the Panthers traded back for AJ Terrell or CJ Henderson, I'd be fine with that. In the top 10, that's a little bit of a reach. But, yeah, I would love AJ would. Guys, Corn Elder is a starter right now. That's bad. That's bad.
For who?
The Panthers.
Oh, God, that's even worse.
For who?
Hey.
What other team doesn't Corn Elder?
God, how is he still on the team? See, that's the messed up thing. Isn't this, what kind of world is this? Cameron Artis-Payne has no job. Corn Elder's starting, and Cameron Newton is going to go win the Super Bowl with the LA Chargers. I want to ask you guys this.
They need to sign him and hurry up.
What I think is, I think they're going to wait for after the draft when they pick Isaiah Simmons.
They'd be dumb not to. They'd be dumb not to wait.
If I am the LA Chargers, I go and draft Isaiah Simmons, add him with Derwin James, that defense. We solved this last night. And you sign Cam. You have Bosa in that defense. You have the offensive weapons there. And then you put Cam Newton in a uniform like this. I'm showing them on YouTube, guys. The Chargers uniforms that are straight dope uniforms came out today. All of them are nice. My favorite is the one on the far left, which is the one we were talking about second to the right when in the picture we were looking at, Cody. But Cam Newton all of a sudden wins a damn Super Bowl championship with the Chargers. If they add Isaiah, will the Chargers do as they are told and draft a quarterback in the draft? Or do you think, hey, we can load up right now and win with damn Jameis Winston or Cam Newton?
I don't know that any of the teams that people are saying have to draft a quarterback, none of them really necessarily have to. I mean,
except for the Dolphins.
Yeah,
and please really, don't say Fitzpatrick. Not you, but I don't want to hear this nonsense about Fitzpatrick being the stopgap. He's just there filling out he's a body at this point.
Right, he's a roster spot. Yeah.
I'm in my opinion, it just depends on the difference between how teams in the top 10 have Justin Herbert graded and how they have Tua graded. Because there are teams I'm willing to bet that just probably don't want to take a chance on the injury history of Tua. So if Justin Herbert is your number one quarterback and you know you can't draft Joe Burrow and the Dolphins move up and take Justin Herbert at number 3 or 4, then yeah, the Chargers could 100% do everything that Tony just said.
Wouldn't they be a better team? Like almost a win now possible team if they added a quarterback without questions and without questions, but
and Trey Turner's over there.
Right. Yeah, Trey Turner in there. CK, to complicate this matter is that Cody referenced that the injury concerns with Tua are a lot of the concern at this moment. Yeah. But we were talking about it the other night, and his Wonderlic score leaked, and it's pretty low. And I know that people that we're gonna be trying not to be overreactive and be like that boy dumb, right, or something like that. But is there ever a point when it scores? I understand that. Cam scored a 23 on it, and people gave him shit for that.
So, yeah, I think there's always going to be that concern when you talk about the leader of your team. But like we said, Cam got roasted for his. So, I think it's only a fair comparison, except for Cam didn't have the same injury concern. So now not only are you getting somebody who's a risk from the that perspective, is the injury risk. And here's the part that I'll say to justify the injury risk thing. I was watching Pat McAfee's radio show this morning. They had Carson Palmer on, who suffered injuries throughout his entire career. He is concerned about Tua. He said that's a red flag for him, and he's been there, right?
Okay. And that's something because Jordan Palmer, his brother, is training Tua right now.
Yeah,
that's his quarterback coach.
So, God, that's bad. I'd be firing that dude right away for what his brother's talking about.
Jordan Palmer is like the creme de la creme of quarterback.
Well, he's getting fired now because his dumb brother out there talking shit about my hip.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Well, I was going to say, man, as far as the Wonderlic scores go, like they do mean something, but it's like a 40 time in the underwear gymnastics. I disagree. Like, okay, it does mean something, but let's look. Lamar Jackson scored a 13. Dan Marino scored a 16. Jim Kelly scored a 15. Ben Roethlisberger scored a 25. Yeah, it's not that important. Like, I feel like some people test well and some people don't. And I don't want to make excuses, but I don't think you can judge how good a quarterback's going to be based on this Wonderlic score. And to be honest with you, based on the way the statistics have gone, with the quarterbacks that have come through it, I wouldn't base much on it at all. It's more of a reaction type thing.
Dan Marino scored a 16. Lamar Jackson last year scored a 13. Yeah. And he was the MVP and just revealed is going to be on the cover of Madden 21.
All right, which is unfortunate for him. Which is unfortunate for him. And I will not. The jury is still out on Lamar Jackson. Is like, and I'm not saying that he's like. I'm not going to be overawed by it. My question ultimately is there a point where a score is low enough to be a real justifiable concern? And it's just strange in the greatest moment of your life where you're so concerned about putting this video out, about having this image that you do this poorly on this test. And I'm not saying that it's a giant thing, but it is like, God, it's a little low, man. Like, damn. And I want to. It ain't helping to stop.
He went to Alabama. What do you expect?
Oh, yes, like South Carolina is so much better. South Carolina's 50th in education. Just so you know.
That's more of a Clemson fan joking on Alabama because Clemson can put Alabama in the dirt. So us Clemson fans have the right to say that. But Alabama fans can stay mad.
So the argument that I would have, even when you bring Dan Marino and Jim Kelly and everything, obviously that was a completely different time, right? Those guys, I think, already kind of had an expectation, and they may not have taken it seriously. I think that these guys nowadays do. And I'll also put it out there like this. I mean, Cam Newton, I love Cam Newton to death, but they had to dumb down the offense for him, right? Because he didn't like the long play calls. They had to basically create very short play calls for him to be able to actually do that. I'm not saying that he was dumb. I'm just thinking these guys don't put as much effort into that aspect of the game. They're so focused on perfecting their physical aspects that they're not necessarily focused on the intelligence aspect of things when it comes to the game.
But it's not necessarily not being focused on intelligence, and I think it just varies from quarterback to quarterback. I think it's more of a scenario where Cam Newton wants to get the play off fast, wants to be able to go to the huddle, say the play, and then be able to make checks at the line.
And I have a problem too with people when they talk about the play calling. Is like, why does it have to be that complex? Honestly, why is it that you are making this so complicated? When you hear the calls, it's like two sentences of non-related words. At least make it like little girl goes to the beach and flies a kite. At least that.
Look at the most successful offenses that have maintained at a high level. Every one of them have a complex play calling system.
Well, and can I make a point about that too? Like, you've got to look at it from two different points of view. You've got to look at it from like Peyton Manning and what was his wide receiver? Not Edgerrin James. It was a running back. Not Ty, the guy for Ty. Reggie Wayne. Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne, two not athletic, but two highly intelligent at their position that trust each other, and look at it like a Jameis Winston and or I didn't say Jameis Winston, say Kyle Allen and DJ Moore. DJ Moore's a good wide receiver that can put up numbers, but if you don't have another guy throwing to him that is the intelligent type guy you are, or if you can be on a different level, a wide receiver and quarterback combo, it changes the game up. Like I said, Reggie Wayne and Peyton Manning is the perfect example. Look at Tom Brady and Randy Moss, two guys who were amazing as far as IQ goes in their position, and it makes all the difference in the world. When you have a guy at wide receiver that's not up to speed with the guy at quarterback, or vice versa, it changes everything up. That's why we were talking about Cody the other day about interceptions. I wish interceptions were like sacks, where you get half of one, because not all interceptions are quarterback's fault.
Jamarcus Russell scored a 24 on the Wonderlic.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can't.
What was the quarterback from Tennessee that won the championship with the Texans? Vince Young. Vince Young. Let's see what Vince Young is. Vince Young. How about this? Vince Young. Vince Young scored a 6 on the Wonderlic.
Oh my god!
Oh.
And Terrell Pryor scored a 7. And I do remember a player that Joe Riolano and I wanted back in the 2012 draft in Maurice Claiborne.
Yeah,
he scored a 4. So you know what I call him now? No-mo. Bo knows, Mo don't know. He's no-mo, dude.
It's not. I mean, especially if you've listened to an interview with Tua, that young man is not stupid. He's a hard worker.
All right, but how about this? For a team that for someone who wants him, does that complicate, like CK was saying? Now you have the hip and this. Is there anything to potentially falling beyond, say, the top past the Chargers? Is there really? Is it a real possibility?
I think it's always going to be a real possibility.
Yeah, that's true. How many times have you seen 4 quarterbacks taken the top 7, or 3 quarterbacks taken the top 7?
Well, it happened in 2007.
About to happen this year,
right? But not very often, right? It doesn't happen that often.
No,
But
it doesn't happen that often. But I don't know, man. I think the wild card is how much do NFL teams value the assessment of their own doctors over Tua's doctor. I mean, they might have the mindset, well, yeah, of course, Tua's doctor is going to tell us that his hip is fine and it's, he's fine, he's okay, but they trust their own doctor. I mean, that's why they're employed. And when you're going to spend, 20 something million on a quarterback in the first round, you want your people to sign off on them.
I promise you that if Tua slips out of the top 10, expect the Saints to go get him.
I think
based on the doctor talk, Cody, if the doctors, if it goes by that, and they thought Cam Newton was injured, then they must think Tua's on his deathbed. So Carolina's not getting Tua based on that.
Do you think that when it comes, I don't want to get bogged down in a Cam conversation because we can for like 2 hours. But do you guys think that this is not about the foot with Cam?
Yeah, they want to move on.
No, okay. So moving on. Do you think that the injury concerns though are really with the shoulder? You see him shooting hoops on Instagram, just laying buckets like he was going to be in like the damn NBA, dude. I was like, God, that foot looks like fine to me.
Dude, have you seen him? He is jacked. I mean, dude, Cam Newton has to be pushing 250, 255 right now, dude. I'm telling you, if you look at him, this lit a fire under his ass. Dude.
Did he? Is he starting to eat meat again?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because I feel like he's getting the physique he had within the first, getting back to that same level of. It felt like he's exactly like
beef, right?
Ever since 2015, it felt like he is just lean. Like he's become much more. I'm not gonna say skinny, but like more. Like I guess chiseled is the.
I thought that was going to benefit him. I thought him shaving 15 pounds was really going to help him.
Yeah, I think the way that he runs, he's not Lamar Jackson. He isn't juking people out. He is running guys over. He's able to get out of the tackles. Like it was hard to bring him down. It wasn't hard to get your hands on him a lot of times. It was hard to bring him down because he's such a a freak athlete.
Cam, you don't got to run anymore, bro. You don't got to run. Just throw the ball. Let's keep going with the calls. The number's 252-228-5098.
Panthers podcast. How y'all doing?
Next call.
What's up, guys? Kyle from VA. It's been a couple of weeks since I called in. Just been, I've been having some personal shit going on in my life.
Well, we hope, hope that gets better, bro.
Man, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look like they're going to be the most efficient fucking offense that has ever been assembled.
I'm glad he brought this up right now.
To think of what they can do with Brady, Gronk, O.J. Howard, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and don't forget about the defense they got. You're not running the ball.
Cameron Brate.
The year we decided to rebuild our team, pretty much, and let the staple of everybody who's been this team for the past decade is the year our division stacks up. I don't ever give up hope on us, ever. I always think we have a fighting chance. But as of right now, God, it doesn't look good. It does not look good for us next year, boys. It looks pretty fucking bad. We got Chris McCaffrey. Hopefully he doesn't get killed. Teddy, 2 fucking gloves.
Two gloves.
I think we can still do something, depending on how this draft goes, and maybe we make a couple more moves, maybe. But fuck, man, the Bucks went from last to first overnight, literally overnight.
You know what? Everybody thought that about the Bucks too.
I'm ready for football, man. Either way, I'm just ready to watch some damn football.
Hell yeah.
Hype back up again. The draft's almost here. But yeah, anyway, fellas, I've been listening to the podcast. Just haven't had any motivation to, call in or whatever. But anyways, can't wait for the show tonight. Mr. C3 Panthers podcast family. All right, guys, keep pounding.
Well, thanks for your call, man, and we appreciate your support. And I mean, it's been a couple of months for Panther fans on the heels of some disappointing seasons that have made it difficult for us to just be excited by the news coming out until we get some new news and some good news. And I think that when maybe the good news is that the year that we are potentially tanking is the year that the Bucks are being awesome and the Saints, are stacked as usual. But today the news broke, guys, that the Patriots have agreed to a trade with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they have traded a unretiring Gronkowski in the final year of his contract with a 7th pick for a 4th round pick. Now Gronkowski will join Tom Brady in Florida as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have retooled around that defense like he was mentioned. What do you guys think about the Gronkowski move? And I need you to carry the conversation because my dog is going nutso.
No, I'll jump in there first. First, let me say to Kyle, who says he's been going through some things. Man, one of my favorite sayings of all time is calm waters never made for skilled sailors. So keep on sailing, brother. Strong people last, and that's just how the world works, man. But the C3 family loves you. But as we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, if you would have told me that Gronk was going to come out of retirement and come to Tampa, and listen, I want you guys' opinion on this. In my mind, this is such an indictment on the locker room for the Patriots. I mean,
yes.
Gronk was retired and happily retired.
CK, you talk and push back on that.
Now Tom Brady is moving away from there. They want to have fun playing football.
Yep.
They don't just want to win. They want to enjoy themselves. And Gronk found this the perfect opportunity to play with Tom one more time in a better environment with better weather, with a better locker room.
Okay, good, CK.
I'm full. This is something I was actually thinking about. I think that when we talk about the Brady or Belichick argument, the chicken or the egg, right? Similar argument. Which one was the creator of the other? And what we run into is a scenario where now you're seeing all of these veterans that not only have played in New England, but have played against New England, who are all wanting to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now because guess who they're not calling up, right? You're not hearing all these people talking about going and signing with the Patriots. You hear them going to sign with the Bucs.
Yeah.
Right now, the thing that I'm looking at is Gronk is following them. I don't know if there's any legitimacy to this, but I've heard Edelman is on the fence about possibly asking to be traded down to the Bucs.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So I'm just saying, like, if you have the team that has been led by Tom Brady for that entire time, you tell me who they think was the motivating factor behind those Super Bowls that they won.
And Greg, before you jump in here, it's just to clarify the position. It's not that the Patriots haven't shown the world how to be the most dominant franchise in the NFL, because they've obviously done that. But I do think that there is a conversation to be had where it's like, man, we're winning, and yeah, that's fine, but the Patriots don't really pay that well. It's about the system over everything, and this old system that just kind of puts shackles on players being themselves and enjoying themselves and not always having to look forward to next Sunday.
I promise you, if the Patriots do not show success this year or even in the next couple of years, they're going to have a very difficult time getting people to sign there, because people that sign there as in free agency and take a pay cut and could possibly be making money elsewhere because the Patriots do not pay top dollar for people, they're the ones that are going to be looking like, well, why would I go to the Patriots? The whole point of me wanting to go there to begin with was to possibly win a championship. they are not even close to being the same team that they were. So if you start losing that success, well, now you start losing the interest in players coming to that system and actually working. So I think if Tom Brady was the glue holding all those players together, I mean, like you said, you're seeing Edelman starting to consider it. Gronk came out of retirement at 29 years old to do this. I mean,
and wasn't he doing like professional wrestling or something?
He's been doing a lot. I mean, if you saw him during Super Bowl week, he was all over the place. I just sit there and I look at this as it's clear that the players on the team of the Patriots saw where they felt the success came from, and it clearly wasn't Bill Belichick.
Okay. Let me start out by saying I am not taking anything away from Tom Brady. Tom Brady has won 6 Super Bowls, which is amazing. Even though I think a few of them were not his fault, I think a few of them he lucked into, whatever. I'm not getting into that right now. The bottom line is he's won 6 Super Bowls. It's like my Michael Jordan comparison. Okay? But I'm not getting into that either. I think that Gronk coming out of retirement is ring and fame chasing. And if you don't think that's the way Gronk is from the last year you've seen him outside of the NFL, that is what he wants. He wants money. He wants fame. This gives him both. Edelman talking about coming down to Tampa Bay is the exact same way.
I disagree on that.
Look at every single wide receiver that has come out of the New England system away from Tom Brady. What have they done? Look at every single receiver that has been with another team, then come into the New England system. What have they done? Now, that goes to Tom Brady's credit. Apparently, he is a very good leader, and I'm not taking that away from him. And he, throughout his career, has been a very good quarterback. However, if you take the numbers from last year and really put them up, don't take their record, because everybody loves to look at record, which is a team effort. Look at Tom Brady's individual numbers, okay? This guy is not the guy that has been throwing to them for the last few years. Now, in the right situation, Tom Brady could thrive. He could do well with the right weapons, with the right situation, okay? But you are taking a big chance, a really big chance. If you're Edelman, if you're Gronkowski, if you're anybody talking about coming out of retirement or trading teams to play with Tom Brady, but you're taking a big chance the other direction also because every player who's gone away from him has done bad. So it's kind of a situation where it's either win-win or lose-lose. There's no middle ground. You either lose in this or you win in this. Like, I don't know.
Guys,
I don't think that Tom Brady's going to thrive in Tampa Bay. I think he's going to do well. He's going to be an okay quarterback. I've seen Brad Johnson win a Super Bowl.
Well, that leads me to a good question. And now that Tony is back, I want an answer from all three of you. If you look at all the teams in the NFC South, are you confident that the Panthers are a better team than the Saints, the Bucks, and the Falcons?
No.
Are we better than any of them? Like, do we even have a chance in our own division? Now, obviously, this is going to change before and after the draft, depending on how the draft goes for all the teams involved. But as of right now, I don't know, man. This roster, in my opinion, doesn't hold a candle